Alright, picking up where we left off here with part 2, and I will throw a link to part 1 in the description of the video, just in case there's some level of interest. But yeah, just going to pick up. We stopped with Enchanted Arms here. I'm going to switch it up for this one. I'm not going to pull out all of the discs on every single one, but we'll just take a look at the overall presentation of the game. First game here, Eternal Sonata. This is supposed to be one of the better JRPGs on the Xbox 360. Follows the composer Chopin. Chopin is in like a fever dream and battling tuberculosis, I believe. People really like this game. Super highly rated. It is complete in box with the disc and manual, no inserts. Got a 2008 Blockbuster sticker. That's kind of funny to see. But yeah, love JRPGs, as I said in the last one. Excited to pick that up and see where it goes. I think that there's a PS3 and Xbox 360 version of that game, and I think the 360 one is considered an easy game, whereas the PS3 one is fairly hard. But it may be the inverse of that. I don't know if I'm misremembering. But yeah, curious to see it. Anyway, Fable 2. This game I absolutely love. This is my super old copy from the mid to late 2000s. Looks like I paid $4 for it. I had so much fun playing this game, played it to death. It was another one of those, one of the small number of games you own personally, so you play it forever and ever. And I did. And it is still in great condition. Yeah, complete in box. Case is a little messed up, I guess, right here. It doesn't latch super well, but good copy of Fable 2. Love this game. I'm actually pretty excited to jump back in. I don't know that I'll remember it as fondly as I'm expecting. It maybe perhaps didn't age super well, but just in proportion to how much I loved it back in the day, I was pretty obsessed with it. This one here actually should probably be moved on the shelf. I think it's actually not Fallen Angel. I think it's Sacred 2 Fallen Angel, so it should be in the S section. But we'll just talk about it here anyway. Looks like I paid $8 for it. Pretty heavy. This is the GameStop pre-order edition, it looks like. I have no idea what that gets you, but maybe it says here on the back. Not sure, but I think this is like a Diablo-style game, and those are always a good time. A big, thick manual here. Looks like a single disc game. Yeah, excited to jump into that. Diablo-style games are always fun. Here's a somewhat controversial one. Little bit. Final Fantasy 13. People had some opinions about this game. Most of them not so great at the time. But it seems like as time passes, people are remembering it more fondly, and playing it today, it's looked on a bit more kindly. It's a 3-disc game. No manual on this, which is kind of a bummer, but otherwise this is a nice, clean copy of Final Fantasy 13, and I am excited to jump into this trilogy. 13.2 here. Looks like I paid $10 for that. Feels a little more bulky, so I'm guessing this one does have the manual. And I think this is generally where people say this trilogy really picks up. People tend to like the second game more than the first, from what I have heard. I'm thinking, despite some of the naysayers on this series, I'm going to love the trilogy. I like Final Fantasy, I like JRPGs, and I just don't really care that much that they changed some things. Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy 13. This is the third in the trilogy. Again, I think these get accused of being a little bit like a hallway simulator, pretty linear, but I kind of like linear in this phase of the life where I have kids and stuff. I don't need to be wandering around an open world forever and always. And yeah, good copy here. Feels really nice. I mean, it looks pristine. Complete in box with some sort of registration card in there and a manual. I'm excited to check these out. I think I'm going to like them. I have no idea where I'm going to find the time to beat an entire JRPG trilogy, but that's a problem for another time. For right now, let's take a look at Forza Horizon. This I bought from a Goodwill on eBay, and it just had a stock photo, and they sent me out a pristine copy Forza Horizon disc manual. Looks like this has got some text on the inside of the cover. This is in the era where they were starting to do away with manuals in the cases, which is always a little bit of a bummer to see. But yeah, that's a pristine copy. So Goodwill on eBay. I've had good luck with them. So if you feel like rolling the dice, it's been a pretty safe bet for me, actually. Here's a series that most are familiar with on 360, Gears of War. Probably one of the most fun co-op games you can play on 360, in my opinion. Cover shooter, and definitely sparked a huge influx of cover shooters in 7th generation and onwards. $2 is what I paid for that, for complete in box. Case is like a little dirty. I don't know if you can see that, but these things got a lot of love, so that doesn't surprise me. But yeah, Gears of War. Moving on, no surprise, Gears of War 2. Looks like $6.99 for this. A little more expensive. But yeah, again, if you've got somebody to play the local co-op with and do a little couch co-op in Gears of War, it's hard to go wrong. These are just so good. And then I actually have 2 copies of Gears of War 3. This was one of those classic don't remember if you have it moments for me. Looks like it's got the stickers. I think both copies have the stickers and everything. But I wasn't sure if I had this, so I bought it, and sure enough, I had it. So I'll get rid of one of these at some point. But for now, we got 2 copies of Gears of War 3. And then this one here is a little bit of a shame game for me. My parents, I think, bought this for me when I was a teenager, and I threw it in. This is like the complete edition with Grand Theft Auto 4, The Lost and Damned, and The Ballad of Gay Tony, all bundled in there. It's just in pristine condition. The map, everything. I seem to remember putting the game in and jumping in a car, and I really did not like the way the cars drove. They felt like they slipped all over the road, and the handling was super loose, and I just did not like it for whatever reason. So I went back to doing what everybody was doing at the time, which was playing some Halo. But yeah, I've not played through Grand Theft Auto 4 outside of just a little bit at the beginning, and I need to go back because I think it's quite literally one of the absolute highest rated, if not the highest rated, Xbox 360 game, on Metacritic at least. And I have just barely scratched the surface. Halo 3, that's a staple Xbox franchise. Halo. Played a ton of Halo 3 online. Loved it. Really enjoyed Halo 2 online as well on the original Xbox, so Halo 3 was a no-brainer. Also very fun to co-op the campaigns in these games if you have somebody to do that with. Ton of fun. Then we've got Halo 4. And this is when 343 took over. My opinion on this is not the highest. I think that's kind of a common sentiment. Halo 4 didn't get the same amount of love as the Bungie titles in the series. But glad to have it in the collection. Still a fun game. And then Halo Reach is, I think, the last Bungie-developed Halo game. Pretty fun. This is where they did start introducing abilities and stuff, like the lock armor, and I don't really remember what else. The bubble you throw down, I think. And I didn't love that direction for the game. For multiplayer, personally, it just wasn't my cup of tea. I know a lot of people do love it. But personally, Halo 2 and Halo 3 are kind of where I most enjoy playing the Halo series. Hitman Absolution, I had a lot of fun with. I believe this is the one where they went a little more story heavy, and a lot of people didn't like that as much. But I had fun with the game. I don't think too hard about these. I just like to pop them in and go wild, try and get creative, taking people out, and this is a complete copy. And this is another one that I had with my original Red Ring Xbox 360 back in the day. Cameo Elements of Power. This is a Rare developed title. Rare being the company that went so nuts making absolutely killer games on the N64. Just dominated that generation. They made an RPG on the 360 that most seemed to review as pretty mid, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun to mess around in. Seems like one of those RPGs you start, you have fun with, and then it kind of maybe peters out towards the end, but I'm sure I'll get my money's worth for this because I think I only paid like $10 for that copy. And then this is a pretty fun one. Collector's edition of Killer is Dead. Not a game I've played. I did check out some gameplay. It looks like kind of an action RPG, hack and slash style game. People said it's a Grasshopper game. I think that's a company that made it, although it says Xseed and Marvelous, so I'm not really sure. But so anyway, it has this slipcover that the game comes in. The actual game case itself has this inner slipcover, which is pretty cool. Then it has this music disc separately. So it's got the soundtrack in its own little case. And then it has an art book, which is hardcover. It has full color designs for characters and all that. I think this game is kind of a action RPG, hack and slash style game with some like loose dating sim elements or something. I'm not really sure, but it sounds like a fun time. And honestly, I got it because the collector's edition is just really cool, and it was like $30, and it's just a cool looking box for the shelf. I'm sure I'll get some entertainment out of it, but otherwise, it's just a cool piece for the collection. Moving on a little bit here, Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. This is a Western RPG in the vein of magic and swords and whatnot, kind of a staple format for the era. And these games are always fun. The 7th gen RPG games always have that nice bloom effect, and it's very cozy. Fun to just go in there and tear up some monsters. I think that's going to be a fun one to take a little romp through at some point. A game I haven't put as much time into as maybe everyone else in the whole world, Left 4 Dead 2. Definitely a beloved title. This is one I didn't sink a ton into just because it's I think most fun multiplayer for sure, and I just didn't have a crew of people that were playing it. But it's a game I definitely played, and this game goes completely wild. These zombies are out of control fast. It's pretty jarring if you're used to like Call of Duty zombies, just how quick they come at you. But yeah, definitely a game I'd like to put some more time into because that's a banger. People love that game. This is a game I'm very excited about. Lost Odyssey. I got it for $20. I'm guessing it's gone up since then. This is a 4-disc giant RPG, and most consider this to be the very best JRPG on the Xbox 360, hands down, really. Pretty much a dream team came together to make this, and it got pretty middling reviews at the time. This is a good example of why game critics and reviews you can only trust so much, because people were bemoaning the fact that it was turn-based in an era where things were so fast-paced, action RPG and whatnot. But now it's kind of aged like a fine wine. I have Madden 10. I do love to have a football and hockey game on most consoles. They're fun to co-op, and I do like just romping around in the campaigns in the career mode. And $4 is actually like a little pricey for a Madden game on 360 compared to the others, but after a cursory search, it seems that Madden 10 is one of the better ones that people like. There's always some debate on what's the best, but as far as graphics and game mechanics and systems and whatnot implemented in the game, Madden 10 is viewed pretty favorably, and this is a complete in-box copy. It's in pretty good condition, so I have fun in these. I have a friend or two that like to play the sports games with me as well, and they're definitely fun co-op. Speaking of co-op, Minecraft is a game I'm excited to co-op with my son, who is almost 5 years old. And this will be a fun one to mess around in. I've not actually played the 360 version. I'm guessing it's a little bit dumbed down in terms of controls from the PC version. But that's actually just fine with me since I'm going to be playing it with my 5-year-old. But yeah, Minecraft, that's a game everybody's heard of. Good time. Happy to have it on the 360. This one I picked up on eBay. It is Mortal Kombat Complete Edition, which includes 4 characters. Looks like one of them is Freddy Krueger, so that's pretty cool. It's got some extra skins and whatnot. It does not have the manual. This case is definitely feeling awfully thick. I think it's a case swap for an original Xbox case. But Mortal Kombat Complete Edition, I do like to have some fighting games in the collection because while I'm not good at them, I do like just butt mashing and having fun in them, trying to figure out how to do combos and failing miserably. I do have a good time with the fighting games, so I do try to keep a bunch around. NHL 11, same thing as earlier. Not a lot to talk about here. This one was 99 cents, so I grabbed it. I mean, it's basically free at that point. And it was on the short list of some of the better NHL games on the console. And there's one in particular, Legends or something. I don't remember the exact name, but people seem to think that one's the best, but it also costs actual money. So this one was on the short list of the better ones, complete in box for 99 cents. That's a no-brainer for me because I love hockey and I love co-op hockey games and the career modes in those. I'll get a good amount of hours into that, which is crazy for $1. Got 2 Need for Speed games. You can see this is just the generic GameStop case. I don't want my whole collection to look like this, obviously, but for a game that's fun to play, I don't really care. This I had for when I was a teenager, and I never bothered replacing it because I have a perfectly good disc here for Need for Speed Carbon. I can play it and have fun, and ultimately that's what this collection is for. It doesn't need to look fancy. It doesn't need to be perfect. Not everything needs to be polished, complete in box. You can see stickers on everything I have, so happy to have Need for Speed Carbon. That's a fun game. And then this is I think a reboot of Need for Speed done by the Criterion Games. I had Hot Pursuit 2 on the original Xbox and loved it when I was young. But this Hot Pursuit here, I think, is kind of a reboot that Criterion Games did. They also rebooted the Most Wanted Need for Speed game. And people seem to pretty universally agree the originals were better. But this was cheap, and it's got what appears to be amazing graphics, and I'm assuming it's still a fun Need for Speed style arcadey-ish racer that I'm going to have some fun with. I had mentioned Death Smiles in the last video. This is the other shoot 'em up that I grabbed. Not a lot of shmups or shoot 'em up style games in English on the Xbox 360 that were released in North America. There are a few that are region free, but they're just very expensive. But Otomedius Excellence and Death Smiles from the part 1 of this little collection review are 2 that you can get in English that were released in North America that are not overly expensive. So I'm not really super well versed with the shoot 'em up genre, but I do want to try it out. And these are 2 games that I think are going to be a good option for that. Phantasy Star Universe, it's a JRPG on the 360, so I had to have it. I paid $10 for it, complete in box. And I mean, Phantasy Star is just an awesome franchise, but this is a fully 3D action RPG. And yeah, I'm just hitting a critical mass of JRPGs on the 360 was one of my goals. And so this one looks decent and reviewed pretty well, so excited to try it out. Plants vs. Zombies, played this with my son. The Plants vs. Zombies is fun because you can actually play co-op in this version. So I can actually help out, and my son and I can play it together. But it also has a couple other of the PopCap games, Peggle being the one that I was particularly interested in. I just had a lot of fun with that many, many years ago for whatever reason. Thought it was pretty entertaining. And my son likes it as well. And so it's fun to play together. This was a cheapo. This is a Goodwill purchase. It's like a slit case. The Platinum Hits, but it is complete in box. It just has a messed up cover here. But again, I don't care. this is fun. It's got several good games on it, and it was a good price. So next one is Rage. I'm pretty curious about this. I don't think people thought unbelievably highly of it at the time, but id Software and Bethesda is quite the combo to put a game out. It's got 3 discs, beefy manual, and it looks like it's just a crazy shooter. And yeah, having a critical mass of the shooters on 7th gen is definitely a priority for me, just because this was the console where like the edgy, gritty shooters just completely popped off. And I'd like to have several because they're fun to run through, even if they're not A+ games. There's another JRPG franchise here. Not super well known. It's called Record of Agarist War. So here's the first one, complete in box. I think people have pretty mixed reviews on this one. I myself have played just a little touch of it just to make sure that the disc worked. And it's a tactical RPG on a grid, which already is going to put some people out. And it's also a very long game. And I think it leans on fan service a little bit too heavy for some. So not going to be for everybody, but in collecting the JRPGs for the console, I'm going to mess around with it. There's not a lot of tactical RPGs on the system. And yeah, I think I'll still get a good amount of enjoyment out of it. Here's Record of Agarist War 0. I don't know that this is a direct sequel, but certainly in the same series. This is just a direct, I think, just cookie-cutter copy of the same format. Tactical RPG, some dating sim elements, JRPG, good stuff. These games are interesting because you actually go through generations. So you'll kind of do like a matchmaking system, dating sim, and pick a partner, and then you have kids, and then you end up playing as those kids and going through the loop again and again to play through multiple generations, hence it being a very long game. Here's a classic that most people are going to recognize, Red Dead Redemption, Rockstar Games classic. Just a good Western-style RPG, and I mean that in the literal sense, the Wild West. I think most people are familiar with this franchise, but if you want to be a cowboy, this is the way to go. Pretty sweet game, complete in box. Love to have it. These are kind of controversial here. Resident Evil 5. People didn't necessarily love it. I think some of the beef with it is due to the, I guess, the setting. But yeah, I'm not reading too far into it. It's a fun game. It's fun to co-op. Turn your brain off, shoot some zombies. It's a good time. I think it gets a bad rap for no reason. So, fun game. And then Resident Evil 6. Also, these games are super fun to co-op. The 5th game I actually played, I think, in a single overnight with a friend. One of those stay up all night playing games sessions. And we beat the whole game without stopping, basically, and it was tons of fun. Resident Evil 6, however, I've not played. I think it got mixed reviews because of the way it handled some of the legacy characters, to my knowledge. But the gameplay still looked fun, and I'm excited to dive in. Resident Evil games, it's hard to go too wrong there. They're still fun. $6 for complete in box. Resident Evil game it's fine by me. So excited to give it a try. And I think the last game we will go over really quick is the Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection. $13, but this is just crazy value. There's like 40-something games on here, and it's just a ton of classic Genesis games that were just so good. Classic, like Sega arcade stuff. All the Sonic the Hedgehogs, Streets of Rage, Altered Beast, Golden Axe, the Phantasy Star RPGs are all on here, and a bunch of other stuff. It's so much value on one disc. It's just, I highly recommend this game. For $13, more expensive than a lot of these other games, but the number of games that you get to emulate through a single disc is pretty awesome. So I'm excited to have this in the collection. Check out a bunch of classic Genesis games without having to own a Genesis. I think I'll stop with that game for now. I'll do like a part 3. Again, I'm mostly doing this for myself. But if anybody is watching or interested, I'll probably do a part 3, finish out the Xbox 360 stuff, and then go over some recent pickups that I grabbed for both the 360 as well as the original Xbox. And I might run through my pretty modest original Xbox collection as well. So if you happen to have an interest, there will probably be a part 3 where I finish this out with the Xbox stuff, and we'll just see where I go from there.